It says simplify. Okay? So in fractions, simplify means
A new definition.
a single fraction. We wrote this down in 5.3, so this is a little review. But to simplify fractions, you need a single fraction in lowest terms. That's what it means to simplify with fractions. We have two fractions right now. We have to know our adding and subtracting fraction rules. And the big thing that 7.4 adds is factoring. So we didn't have to do any factoring in 7.3, but 7.4 is a review of 7.3. How do you add fractions? I need a common denominator. Then once I have a common denominator, I add my numerators. That's my rule for adding fractions. The same is true when we have algebra, but we might need to factor first. Luckily, in A, we don't have to factor. So I'm going to write out the question as it was, but then can I cancel anything? No, because adding and subtracting groups things together. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to add the brackets that weren't there, because those things would be grouped together, and we can only simplify if you're multiplying and a factor in your numerator is exactly the same as a factor in your denominator. And that doesn't happen here. So what are our rules for adding fractions? We need a common denominator. Are our denominators the same? No. The first denominator has a p minus 2. The second denominator has a p plus 1. The first denominator is missing the p plus 1. So we multiply top and bottom by p plus 1. The second one is missing the p minus 2. So we multiply top and bottom by p minus 2. That will get us a common denominator of p plus 1 and p minus 2. And I will not factor that. I mean, I'll not multiply that out. I will leave it factored because maybe later on something might cancel to be in lowest terms. And if things want to be in lowest terms, the factored version will be the easiest way to tell. Okay, what do I have on the top? Well, on the top, I'm going to want to combine like terms. So on the top, I need to expand. P plus 1, p minus 1 is a difference of squares. That'll give me p squared minus 1. Plus, I'm going to put it in brackets, even though I don't need to, just to say that I figured out my first one to be p squared minus 1. My second one, I'm going to multiply out. It's going to be p squared outside and inside plus p, last one's minus 6. I'm going to put that in brackets just to show I figured out the first one and the second one. There's a plus sign in between, so the brackets aren't necessary. If there was a minus sign, the brackets would have been very important. So it's not bad to put brackets both times so you don't make the mistake with the minus sign. Do I have like terms on the top? Yes, I do. So simplifying means combine your like terms. P squared plus p squared, 2p squared. I'd have plus p and minus 7. Okay. Can you factor the top? Okay. Another thing that is important for skills in factoring is to be able to look at something and also in the attempt to factor it, find out that it cannot be factored. So I did a quick check. The top cannot be factored. This is all grouped together. Do I have any factors that are the same on the top in my numerator that are in my denominator? No. Nothing can be simplified. So it takes a while before you can circle it and say that's my final answer, because you have to check a bunch of things to see if you could go further. And the biggest skill is how well you can factor to do that. Okay. in B, this is a difference of squares. This I'll add brackets. If you have a different color pen, take out that different color pen, I'm going to use purple. Write this in a different color. I'm going to erase this just so I have some more room. Right now, the way that it's written in black, we have three factors in the bottom. E minus 3, 3 minus e, and 3 plus e. And none of them are identical. You have to recognize, though, that if you have an e minus 3 and a 3 minus e, they're very close. And in fact, they could be made the same if you take a negative out of one of them. That's going to be very important, because if you miss that, you will turn this into a grade 12 factoring question, which you will not be able to do. So it's like tiny little details can change a question to become very hard. So I'm going to rewrite this 2 over e minus 3 minus 3x over, and I'm going to rewrite this as negative e minus 3, 3 plus e. Negatives and fractions. Okay? Did you know that if a fraction is negative, like if I write negative 2/3 like this, that's the same as writing negative 2/3 like this, which is the same as writing negative 2/3 with a negative out in front. Okay? By factoring that negative out of the bottom, you have options. And all of these options would be correct. I'm going to try to show you the option I think would be the nicest. You could keep the negative on the bottom and get a common denominator with a negative on the bottom here. Perfectly fine. Okay? You could take that negative and move it to the top. I like that better than having the negative on the bottom, actually. Or you could take that negative and put it out in front. What would happen if I put that negative out in front? I like this the best because now we're adding instead of subtracting, so our chances of making a mistake are less. That would be my favorite. I would choose this option here and work with it. It's not wrong if you kept it on the bottom or you moved it to the top. My least favorite would be keeping it on the bottom because it makes our denominator more complicated. It might be an e. Did I just copy it? Yes, thank you for noticing that. That would have caused us problems later on. And the very first step, I forgot to do what I try to do every single time. Every single time you write a step, you should take a quick peek to see that you have exactly what it was before. But sometimes the easiest things to do, okay? Like mathematically, how hard is it to copy down the number 3 and the number e? Right?
Very hard.
Very hard, apparently, right? But it's usually the easiest things to do that'll catch us making a mistake. Because you don't have to think about it. And because I wasn't thinking about it, I reverted to, well, what letter do we use the most? We use X, right? So just to be aware of how easy it is even to make a copying mistake as we go. Okay, let's put brackets here. Now, do I have a common denominator? No. This one is missing the 3 plus e. And then I would have a common denominator of e minus 3, 3 plus e. Me personally, 3 plus e is the same as e plus 3. That just feels so much better for me than writing 3 plus e. Because mathematically we always write variables first, constants last. But you could leave it. And this will become 2e plus 6 plus 3e, adding things together, 5e plus 6 over e minus 3, e plus 3. Can you factor the top? No, it would get grouped together. Is there something in the top and the bottom that's the same? No. So I can circle this and say it's done. Okay, if you look at the bottom, in the answers, they also provide this. These are the non-permissible values. If I want you to list the non-permissible values, I will ask for it specifically. Okay? So, but the answer key is providing that as well, just as a reminder. But you would be fine with just leaving your answer as the 5e plus 6 over e minus 3e plus 3. Okay, questions for practice 3. 4b, 5, and 8, not 9. Circle those questions. Okay. Now, a couple of things as hints. If you get something that's looking overcomplicated, it's probably because you made a mistake early in overcomplicated things. You might want to go back and restart it. Sometimes it is complicated. So if you restarted it and took your time and it still was complicated, it might have been that you were right. But there's warning signs in these questions. Other hints to look for. When you factor, they almost always have something in common. So this one, when we factored in, it didn't have something in common, sort of like, should be like, I should find out why. It probably should have something in common. And in this case, we had to use a special note to make it in common. This is the hardest one with that special note. But if you look at your questions for practice, so I did 3, 4, which is the first one? 5 doesn't have factoring. We don't have factoring, I think, until 8 is no. Don't have many factoring. It's the next ones. Let's do example 2 together. Get the video set up for that one.